you. Good morning. Welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church's in-person and online worship. I'm Ann Packard, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I serve on the Board of Trustees. If you are new to us, whether on Zoom or here in the sanctuary, welcome, and we'd love to be able to reach out to you. If you are in person, you'll find a QR code on the back of the order of service for our welcome form. And if you are online, please visit our website, A2U2.org, to find our welcome form. Our mission calls us to celebrate diversity, encourage spiritual growth, and promote social responsibility while we travel on and care for the earth. Each month, Allen Avenue supports a nonprofit organization whose mission and work aligns with our Unitarian Universalist principles. The Share the Plate organization for October is Maine Unitarian Universalist State Action Network, MUSAN. MUSAN is a statewide advocacy and public policy program, public policy network anchored in our Unitarian Universalist faith and animated by its principles. MUSAN links 25 UU Maine congregations and many friends in an active legislative ministry. Beginning in November, Reverend Donna will be offering a UU History 101 Zoom class. Please go to the website a2u2.org or this week's e-blast to register. And if you are interested in learning more about Allen Avenue spiritual enrichment groups, please read your next e-blast. We're so glad you've joined us today. If you are new to us, please take a moment to fill out our welcome card so we can get to know you. And I think I said that already. And now we will center our hearts and minds with the ringing of the bell.
Our call to worship words are those of Sarah Lindsay. It is good to be with you. It is more than good. It is soul healing, life-saving, mind expanding. To be with you changes everything. Welcome home. Home to this community that has been here and will be here, a haven, a sanctuary, a home that is more than these four walls. You are safe here, safe to be your whole self, flesh and bones and blood and spirit and mind and heart. You can fail here, fail and be messy and forgive and be forgiven, fail and find redemption over and over, because failing is divinely human. We are one, we say. One not in belief, but in history and future. One in sorrow and in joy, in freedom and in liberation. One in our birth among the stars. There is hope. Radical, optimistic, determined hope. Active hope that creates itself anew, endlessly lighting the way. Your vulnerability is a gift. Your trust, your commitment, your willingness to open your heart to the pain of connection. Your presence itself is a gift to be treasured. You are loved, loved for all the ways you try and try again, loved as your whole being, perfectly imperfect, loved with a love that transcends fear. We gather this morning with minds open, hearts yearning for meaning, spirits reaching out for connection, because we know no other way to live than this, committed to questioning, learning, growing, committed to one another, to truth and hope and love, committed to our shared time, the depth and meaning it offers, committed to changing ourselves and this world we share. I invite you now, if you've brought a picture of a beloved, or you have someone or someones in your heart and your mind's eye, to come to our remembrance table and place your picture or light a candle in remembrance.
The earth and Jesus fed the Lord.
Thanks. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. May our many sparks meet and merge in communion of heart and soul. And then I get the pleasure of reading to you from a book called In My Heart, a book of feelings. It's by Joe Wittek, and it's illustrated by Christine Rusi. My heart is full of feelings, big feelings and small feelings, loud feelings and quiet feelings, quick feelings and slow feelings. My heart is like a house with all these feelings living inside. Sometimes my heart feels like a big yellow star, shiny and bright. I smile from ear to ear and twirl around so fast, I feel as if I could take off into the sky. This is when my heart is happy. Other times, my heart feels strong. I stand up tall, as if I can touch the clouds. New people and places don't frighten me. I can do it. Watch me go. This is when my heart is brave. When I get really angry, my heart feels as if it's going to explode. Don't come near me. My heart is yelling hot and loud. This is when my heart is mad. But other times, my heart is cool. I bob along gently like a balloon on a string. My heart feels lazy and slow, as quiet as snowfall. This is when my heart is calm. On harder days, mean words hurt my feelings, and my heart feels hurt too. It's fragile and delicate, but it can be healed with extra kisses. This is when my heart is broken. Some days, my heart feels as heavy as an elephant. There's a dark cloud over my head, and tears fall like rain. This is when my heart is sad. But my heart doesn't stay sad. Like springtime after winter, the sun comes out again. My heart grows tall, like a plant reaching toward the sky. This is when my heart is hopeful. Eek! When I see something scary, my heart beats fast. I feel cold, as if chilly breeze has crawled up my neck, and I run away as fast as I can. This is when my heart is afraid. When it's time for a bit of fun, my heart feels full of giggles and wiggles. Abracadabra, I hop around like a bouncy bunny. This is when my heart is silly. Sometimes I hide my heart away where no one can see, like my own small treasure. I don't want anyone to look at me. Safe on my swing, I can watch the world from up above. This is when my heart is shy. My heart can feel so many feelings, and yours can too. Today, my heart is proud. How does your heart feel? The end.
Thank you, Laura. Our meditation this morning are the words of Emily C. Jones, our Director of Religious Education. I invite you into the spirit of meditation. When we say, I feel in my heart, we don't just mean our beating heart. We're talking about something much bigger and I dare say divine, stuffed into these bodies, taking up every inch of space And spilling out in front and all around us is our spirit heart. Where can you sense your own spirit? For a moment, close your eyes if you'd like, and place your hand in the center of your chest. Take a deep breath. I wonder if you have ever felt feelings that seem to come from this place. Now, place your hand on your belly. Take a deep breath. I wonder if you've ever felt feelings that seem to come from this place. And now place your hands over your eyes. Take a deep breath. I wonder if you have felt feelings that seem to come from this place. As you uncover your eyes, take another deep breath. Feelings are a language of spirit, yours and mine. We share our spirit hearts with one another, growing in understanding through our joys and sorrows. Our reading this morning is an excerpt from Proverbs of Ashes. We have felt a fire in the heart of things, intimated in moments of surprise, a power which guards, judges, and continually recreates life. Echoing the biblical poets, we call this fire spirit, this power, presence. We've seen how those who glimpse this fire reverence life. We have sensed what Wordsworth called a presence that disturbs me with joy, something far more deeply infused. This presence, felt as mystery and offered as faithfulness to one another, sustains and heals life. It calls for justice. We have experienced life-giving communities that foster knowledge of spirit, awareness of presence. We know that at their best, healthy communities practice the right use of power of life and lead people to experience wholeness, right relationship, and beauty. When this happens, such communities teach us to know ourselves and the world as sacred and sustain an ethic of appreciative care of life.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandfather's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
At this time of year, when traditions and celebrations remember those who have gone before, we create space in this sanctuary to remember, to weave together the multitude of feelings we have and memories we hold, considering what we want to carry forward from these relationships. Our lives are filled with multiple truths. Some truths are harsh realities, while others create space for our vulnerabilities, for us to directly experience our own divinity, our own sacred nature and inherent worth. Kathleen McTeague invites us into an experience with these words. In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us, it is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives lived well. We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion. They too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be. Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared. They are still with us The lives they lived hold us steady. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke their own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, and their hearts. We take them with us, and with them choose the deeper path of living. I invite you now to take a moment in silence to remember, who are the beloveds you hold in your heart or your mind's eye this day? What lessons were you offered by your ancestors? There is a veil between us and those we remember. It can be pierced by our memories, lessons, and those moments. The veil can be lifted between us, even as we're present here today together. When we create relationships or experience relationships where we bring our full and whole selves. Perhaps there have been times when we have been broken open by some relationship, long-term or just passing. It was years ago when I was reading research on resilience, and one of the factors that supported resilience was if you had someone in your life that witnessed you with the unconditional compassion and love, empathy, saw the best in you. It might have been a long-term relationship, or it might have been one of those that was just brief in passing. It would be years later when I was attending a workshop on the treatment of trauma, when the presenter described one of her sessions. She was treating children who had been abused. And a little girl we'll call Becky had been to her office several times already. And in these sessions, the therapist would engage Becky in play therapy. It was several sessions in, and she was sitting on the floor with Becky. Now, Becky started to move a little closer to her, and the therapist thought, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on this because boundaries are super important. But she just held the space. And Becky moved just a little bit closer and gazed into her eyes. And when she was what seemed like super close, Becky said, I can see myself in your eyes. Now, Becky might have been talking literally about that little reflection that can happen. And perhaps she had experienced a sense of fully being witnessed. The kind that brings you a sense of safety, the kind that invites you to bring the range of emotions, fullness, including grief, anger, fear, safety, joy, and love to it. These experiences can come along in the tenderness of childhood or the tenderness and vulnerability of adulthood. It was a Moth podcast, which was put out in November of 2015, where Auburn Sandstrom from Ann Arbor shared her story. And she reflected on the year of 1992, one evening. She describes herself curled up in a fetal position, withdrawing from drugs she was addicted to, in a desperate feeling. She said it felt like a nonstop panic attack. She was sort of rooting around her house and found this crumpled up piece of paper. And it was one her mother had sent her with a phone number on it. She held that in her hand. Her husband had gone out to find his next fix, but she was sure when he got home he wouldn't share. And she couldn't go out herself. As she looked behind her, her young son was in the other room. Auburn describes holding this paper with the realization that she was not going to get Mother of the Year award. And she was failing at a lot of things. She described her beginning life as one of privilege. She had opera lessons and French lessons and was one of the few people that I even know who had their whole undergraduate college degree paid for. She was in her 20s when she moved to Ann Arbor, and it seemed her life was a mess. Auburn's awareness this night was that if she kept living this life, it would lead her to leaving the most precious person in her life, her son. At this moment, she became so desperate that she punched the numbers into the phone from this crumpled piece of paper. It was the number of a Christian counselor. She hears the phone pick up. A man says, "Hello? Hi, I got this number from my mother," she says. "Do you think you could talk to me?" He says, yes. What's going on?" She hears kind of some crumpling. It sounds like sheets are moving, and then the music that had been playing in the background turns off. The truth began to spill out. A truth she hadn't even told herself for a really long time. She wasn't feeling so good, and she was scared. Things had gotten pretty bad in her marriage. And before long, she shared other truths. She might have a drug problem. She had a husband who hit her. The stories kept tumbling out. The man on the phone didn't judge. He just held the space and was present, listened with such kindness and gentleness. "Tell me more. That must have been hard." It was 2 a.m, and he stayed with Auburn until sunrise on the phone. She didn't care what faith he was. She was grateful, and she told him she really appreciated him. She mentioned that she kind of thought he'd be assigning Bible quotes, and she would be glad to do it. He said he was glad to be there for her. They talked a little bit more. She came back around and said, "I'm so glad there are Christian counselors. I'm so glad you were here." And he said, "I've been trying to figure out how to avoid this subject." "Don't hang up," he says. "The number you called, wrong number." She didn't hang up on him, never learned his name. She never talked to him again, but describes the next day she experienced something she's heard called peace that passes all understanding. She had experienced random love in the universe. Some of it was unconditional, and she learned that some of it was for her. This was the day when getting her life together became possible to imagine. She states, "This is what I know. In the deepest, darkest night of despair and anxiety, it only takes a pinhole of light, and all of grace can come in." What are the ways that we are broken open, and who will be there for us? What does it mean to you to be heard? Will we be that to each other? A presence that disturbs me. Something far more deeply interfused. This presence felt as mystery and offered as faithfulness to one another. sustains and heals life. It takes only a pinhole of light, Auburn says. May we create this presence together that holds diverse feelings, independent truths, and a presence with each other that creates a new divinity. We are children of the earth, our ancestors' dreams. We can create together an experience that rises a new kind of divinity. May you be whole, may you be well, and may you feel connected.